Okay, so let's start with a round of applause to the audience, the panelists here. Women in Construction. My name is Lupe Vasquez. I am the co-founder of U.S. Council of Hispanics in Construction. And our mission and vision is very simple. We want to connect the subcontractor. I mean, we help the employees, we help the future generation, but primarily our niche is the subcontractor minority Hispanic that is missing out more than anything and a lot of the opportunities that we see in this room, right? I wish this room would be full, not only of Hispanics, but all the minorities. And if they knew how much there was, can we agree? There's so much opportunity there. You don't have to work so hard. All the pieces are here, the dots are here, and we want to do a better job of informing them. And that's what we do. And we do it through the channel, which is education, advising them of everything that's going on. And we come out here and meet people like you guys and like these beautiful ladies that are doing the same in their own kind of way. And we're eager to learn about. But today I would like to introduce the panelists. If y'all could go one by one and tell us your name, obviously, and what are you doing as a woman in construction. After you let us know what you do, please tell me what your definition is of women in construction in your own way, term, shape, or form. Go ahead. Starting here. Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Brenda Garza-Karhoff with Garza-Karhoff Engineering. We are an engineering firm providing structural and civil design of highways, roads, bridges, buildings. We work a lot with IDOT, the tollway, the CTA station. What was the second question?
So in your own terms, let me know what women in construction means to you.
What it means to me is we work a lot in the public arena. So we are providing a service to the city, the state that people use every day. And as women, we are problem solvers. We solve some problems. We build bridges. We build the roadways. We do the planning and design plans for those.
Thank you. Round of applause for her. Thank you for being here. And we move on to...
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Neely. I am the Executive Director of the Federation of Women Contractors. We are a 34-year-old membership organization advocating for women-owned businesses in construction. We are Chicago-centric, Chicagoland area. We have about 200 members representing over 100 Illinois zip codes. Our members include single or specialty trade contractors, general contractors, some suppliers, as well as professional service firms. We sit on three pillars, one being legislative advocacy, right? We have a seat at the table, city, county, state, and federal levels, pushing legislation and policy to create the opportunities for our women in construction. Secondly, networking. We're connecting our 200 members to the many City of Chicago, Cook County, State of Illinois projects across, across the sectors, as well as technical support. We're supporting our members and our partners to make sure that everyone's procurement ready and operating efficiently and sufficiently on these city contracts.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And your definition of women in construction is?
Ta-da! This right here, right? We all arrive where we are today, and we're coming from different paths, different journeys to get here, and each of them should be valued and appreciated. But I think women, for women in construction, for me, is breaking down barriers, right? It's representing, it's being a face, it's being a person that a young girl can look up to and aspire to be. And so I encourage and thank all of you all for attending our panel today.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just wanted to make sure you weren't asleep. My name is Ann McNeil, and I am the master wealth builder, helping to build stronger and better lives and businesses in the construction industry. I'm also the founder of the National Association of Black Women in Construction. We're going to have our sisters in the spirit to please wave their hand who are members. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm also the founder of a construction company called MCO Construction. I'm celebrating 45 years in the industry. this year as a licensed general contractor out of the state of Florida. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But, and I like what Jeannie said about the pillars, because in the National Association of Black Women in Construction, we're the voice for Black women in construction. And one of the reasons why I flew here from sunny South Florida this morning into this liquid sunshine was because we believe that Chicago has one of the best places for Black women in construction to help support the city's program. And so our desire is to help build that in association with Hispanics and others in terms of women in construction. So I believe, to go to your last question about my thoughts about women in construction, and people ask me, well, why do you have to have Black women in construction? And I simply say, I am one. You see, because what happens is that girls don't see us as role models in this industry. And when they don't see us that look like us, they cannot become one of us. And so we have a humongous responsibility, all women in particular, but Black women, because we are the women who birthed those boys with the pants hanging down. We are those women who, you know, if you, whatever you can think of, we are doing that. And especially with this being Black History Month, I think it's important for us to continue to be that voice, not just locally, city, county, state, but also nationally.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Hi, everyone. My name is May Whiteside Williams. I am the owner of CKL Engineers. I've been a construction engineer for 22 years, but a firm owner in March for 14 years. Anything in a public right-of-way, whether it's buildings, sidewalk, curb and gutter, streets, bridges, airports, you name it. I've worked on every single type of project that's in construction, except for dams, I guess. I shouldn't say ports, I guess one day soon. But to answer the question about women in construction, what I thought, so I got two interesting stories. When I attended Illinois Tech, I almost got put out of school because I didn't have the money, right? So, you know, everybody's got that, oh no, if I don't have that tuition paid, I'm gonna get put out and I'm not gonna be able to finish my program. So I applied to a little known group called Asantewa, and they were about 30 Black female flight attendants who were all employees of Delta Airlines. So after a 23-year hiatus, I couldn't find them anywhere. One of them wrote a book and talked about, you know, Black women being in the aviation space. Because I have such an interest in aviation, it was just surprising that I would actually see her 23 years, and now we're going to restart that scholarship program that saved me from getting put out of college. So I guess with Delta, I guess together we climb, that is really a big, I believe in that slogan because, you know, I was able to climb with 30 of them. Secondly, Tanisha Marshall, who's the vice president of the Red Line Extension, which is going to be happening in a couple years from now, she was one of the engineers working on the Dan Ryan program back in 2003, 2004. For the first time, I saw another Black woman, and that is really important when you talk about role models, with a construction coat, a lab coat, and she had a hard hat, and I immediately identified with that. I wasn't thinking about entrepreneurship at that time, but because I had someone to look up to, I modeled that. That is really important when we see role models in our community. So when I think about that question, I think role modeling, because we're going to model ourselves after someone we believe we could achieve and become. So enough of us in this industry, we could be the role models for the next May or the next founder of her company or the next one, because I guess with Delta, together we climb. So that's my story.
Thank you for that.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandiano, and my company is Sandiano and Associates. I do diversity type consulting. I've been in this field since it really came upon the horizon 43 years ago. Currently, I provide a lot of technical assistance to small firms that are going through the certification process. I assist them when they get contracts to ensure that they are in compliance with all the rules and the regulations that they signed off that they were going to work on. And I do a lot of advocacy and legislation with FWC and with HACIA, the Hispanic Contractors Organization, to ensure that these programs not only stay in place, but they prosper and grow. And my thoughts about women in construction basically is we bring efficiency to multitasking in this field. And that's why we're here, because we get it done.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to move on with the questions. As y'all can see, and I can't agree more with you guys, everybody said it in their own shape and form, but at the end of the day, role models, right? And thinking about the next person, that's what makes a woman in construction automatically, in my opinion, a leader, any way you want to see it. However, it's one thing to make it seem easy, right? It looks like really easy to sit here and talk about what we do, because whenever you're in construction, in my opinion, it's just a passion. It comes out so naturally. It's not something that you are, in my opinion, taught, right? It's just, you develop it and you love what you do. You don't feel like you're working. However, I'm glad that you ladies make it really easy. It seems really easy, but I don't think it was. Can y'all tell us, because I'm sure there's people out in the audience that might consider, or we already know about the perception of construction, dirty work on one side and the other. Is it really, do you really have to, what do you have to do to get here, right? What did you have to do? So can we talk a little bit about that so we can clean the room and understand that there is a lot of opportunities here, but maybe someone will relate to our story in the beginning. Would y'all mind sharing how did y'all get into the industry? Anybody can go.
I'll start real quick. So I didn't grow up in a construction family. My dad worked at General Motors down in Danville, Illinois. My mom was a bilingual school teacher, aide, and I was just good at math. I really liked math. That was, something my parents could help me do. I wasn't very good with English because we were first generation Mexican-American family, so we didn't speak English at home. So math was the one area my parents could help me in school. So I excelled at it, and I was good at it. Going to college, I had to pick a field, and math equals engineering, though I had no idea. I didn't know what engineering was. It was just something that sounded good if you like math and science. So I went into that and ended up going in the structural field because it's something that I thought would fit what I like to do. I didn't know anything about it. I knew it was a good job. My parents are, saying you got to go to college and do something that you like to do. And I want to iterate, I didn't have a passion for it, but I liked it enough to have a full-time job to do it for the rest of my life. So, to have a passion for something, maybe you're a PhD, but there's a lot of different areas in engineering that you could do that you don't have to have a passion for. But it's different fields in the engineering that you could like enough to have a decent job. There was a little bit of fear in that industry because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know any friends that were in the industry, so I was kind of going in blind. When I was at school, I went to Champaign-Urbana, and there are a lot of kids from Naperville, which I never heard of this town, Naperville. I'm from Danville. I don't know who, much outside of Danville. And in the summer, they were going back to the Chicago area to work in some engineering firms, whether it was their dads or friends in the neighborhood, dads they could work at. And I was like, okay, I got to get a job in the summer. Where am I going to work? I was at school. They had a bunch of job placements. Some company called IDOT. I didn't even know who that was. I'm like, oh, they're everywhere. Maybe, they'll give me a job. I found a job with them in the summer, and that's what kind of got me started in construction, doing roadways and buildings. But it wasn't a master plan. It was just something I kind of just kept going. And it was a field I didn't know anything about, but I just kept going. And I ended up taking these steps that just kept leading me to where I am now. And knowing I didn't have a grand plan because I didn't know anybody in it, but I did like it enough. I was a little nervous each time I did it, but it just kept going. And being where I am now, having my business, I didn't know anything about owning a business, but I felt I was strong enough or smart enough that I could figure it out. So I kept going doing that. And each day I feel like I have to keep going, figuring things out. I don't know all the answers, but I feel strong enough that I can figure it out.
Very well. Challenges. Sorry, how do we start in construction?
How did I start in construction? So I mentioned earlier we all arrive here today, right? But our paths are very different. I spent 15 years in business banking, and I would have loan clients that were in construction, and we would open up their books, and if they had government contracts, we would simply close their books, and we would oftentimes not facilitate those loan opportunities for them, that capital that we also hear so very much in our space, right? And so a little bit, 8 years ago, I decided I wanted to serve these small businesses in a different way. And so I shifted my career into advocacy, advocating for small women and minority businesses in the Chicagoland area. How I got my deep dive into construction is that part of the advocacy I spent over at the Chicago Transit Authority, CTA, which is the second largest transit system in the United States of America. And during that time, they were working on their largest capital development project, which is the Red Purple Modernization Program, which is all construction. In that, we found the disparity, of course, of small women and minority contractors or disadvantaged business enterprises. And so again, I wanted to make a way of opportunity. Instead of closing those doors by not supplying those loan facilities, I wanted to open up those doors by extending contract opportunities to these small businesses. And so with that, I am here with FWC for a little over a year and a half, and as I mentioned, just left Springfield this morning, again, fighting on behalf of those opportunities for our women and minority contractors. And so that's how I have arrived in construction.
So we're going to switch it up a little bit just to keep the conversation going. I know you had your answer prepared. We'll let her go? Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I was so excited.
We don't follow rules anyways. We're women in construction.
Okay, well, I am old enough to remember riding in the back of the bus with my mom holding my hand. But I'm also young enough to remember benefiting from the 1964 Civil Rights Act that gave me and many of us the right to work in corporate. So when I finished college, got my first good corporate job, my husband and I worked at the same place, and we bought our house. We bought the house across the street. We bought the house down the street, and then we bought another piece of property. Never filled out an application, had absolutely no idea what we were doing. And because we had a degree in accounting, both, that's where I met him, we knew to go to the library and research construction and learn how to do our repairs. Came home from work one day, and my husband, who graduated valedictorian, I graduated, thank you, Lordy. Some of you will get that later. He said to me, if I had it to do all over again, I would not go to college. I was shocked. I said, excuse me? I still got my handbag in my hand. I'm standing in the door. He said, you know, I did the math. He said, we get estimates from these guys who did not finish high school, never went to college. And he said, I did the math, what it cost us to have them to come in and do the repairs. And he said to me, what they make an hour is more than you make a day on your corporate job. And I kept saying, excuse me? Because I could not wrap my mind around what he was saying. Because we all did exactly what we were taught to do from our parents at that age, at that period of time. Go to school, get a good education, get a good corporate job. You see, when you're black and you're female back in the early 70s, it's not just a job, it's a corporate job. And so I did that. And standing right there, he said, I don't think I would go to college. And I said to him, what would you do? He said, I would go to trade school. Now, at that moment, I was working on a master's degree. I said this to him, and it's changed my entire life. I said, well, if that's how you feel, because I did marry up, ladies. You see that? I did marry up. So if that's what he felt, I said to him, I said, well, I'm going to go to trade school. And that's how I got into construction. I went to trade school while working on a master's degree, and the rest is another story.
Glad you got to share that one. So that's a good segue to the next conversation, the next generation that does not want to go to college, or there's still some out there that feel that they need to go to college to be successful. So how do we go about informing or advising someone that finds himself in that situation? Have you guys experienced something like that? Or, yeah, can you share a little bit about that?
I can go with a quick story.
Go ahead.
So similarly to Ann mentioned, right, we grew up in a generation that had two blue-collar parents, worked hard, lived check to check, put us through good schools, in hopes that we get these more white-collar corporate jobs, right? So I'm 7 years older than my sister. I'm graduating from college. She's in high school, and she's dating a boyfriend, and his mom is in construction. And so she comes home from school, and she says, Jamie, I think I want to go in construction. But because I'm trained, you go to school, you go to college, you get this corporate job, I literally shunned her. Like, no, that's not, our game plan is this, stay on course here. And so our family joke is, here it is, 20 years later, I'm running an organization advocating for women in construction. And so I think we should encourage all youth, adolescents, teenagers, college students to consider all things, right? Find your passion, find your gifts, and encourage them. Everything doesn't necessarily have to fit in a box in order to be successful. As Ann mentioned, these are six-figure paying jobs if you're working, if you're owning your business. There's great residuals and generational wealth that you can leave for your families right here in the construction industry. And so learn from me, and not discourage any of your family members from such a great industry that promotes economic impact, that creates job opportunities, and keeps our communities thriving here in the city of Chicago.
Thank you. On that same note, what personal qualities do you feel help you succeed in construction?
I got that one.
Okay.
Just work ethic. You have to have it. You can't be like for me. You know, I keep a messy closet. I keep a messy room. I mean, anyone that knows me that been in my little small spaces, keep it messy. But the thing of it is being highly organized. I just told you I'm messy, but being highly organized and having a strong work ethic are the things that can keep you going. That's just two of the things that I do. Also, I do a lot of meditation too. You know, sometimes you just gotta calm your mind and let the thoughts come to you, and you look at those thoughts and you think about, you know, those thoughts, what is it leading you toward? So those are the three things that I've had to use in order to just kind of keep the strong pace. That's really it.
Thank you. Who else? Qualities, personal qualities that make you successful in construction.
Well, I would start with a strong faith. A strong faith that pulls you through when you cannot see it. And second is a larger vision of what's possible for yourself. And others in spirit service. That would be it.
I'd like to add, I think you have to learn from other people also, because construction is such a vast industry with so many opportunities. They're good opportunities, and some opportunities are not as good as others. You've got to learn to ask a lot of questions. It's a lot of hard work. It's not something, if you're a person that's easily distracted, it's not the place to be. It's just very exciting, as was said in some of the sessions earlier today, that you see a space on a street and you drive by there 6 months later because it's not on your everyday path, and now there's a building going up. It's very exciting, but you've got to be dedicated to this, and like I said, learn from other people.
You know what, Sandy, when you said that, I also agree with you because our industry evolves. Technology is disrupting everything we've known in the past. There's something new that's keeping us do things more efficient, and you have to chase those learning opportunities as
Absolutely.
well. If you don't, you're kind of like the person with the,
With blinders on.
Yeah, blinders on. So you don't really know. So I attend conferences just to keep myself sharp. I'm the CEO, I'm the founder. I'm not necessarily out there next to my engineers doing the actual work. However, I still need to learn from others and how other firms are doing it, benchmarking myself, and then also catching those opportunities so that I can bring that training indoors, because your engineers are working every day. They also need to be sharpened every day mentally.
And you have to have a lot of tough skin in this
Yeah, I was gonna
profession.
say,
Confidence, being confident and wanting to be the best. And you want to be competitive. Those are traits that I think sometimes women don't like to put up in the forefront. They kind of want to be the nice ladies at the tables. No, you got to say what you want because you are worth it. You've studied just like any other male did at school, under my circumstance. You did the work that they did. And you know what? I did it better than some of these other guys. And you got to be able to say that. I've done it better. I deserve it. I'm going to speak up for what I want and what I deserve. So there's a lot of confidence that you have to have. And speak for yourself. No one's going to speak better than anyone but yourself.
you're gonna hear a lot of no's through the journey, right, of trying to get contracts. So tenacity, perseverance, and resilience to just, as Brenda mentioned earlier, just to be able to wake up every day to keep going and hear that no, but understand, learn from that no, right? But then be able to keep going. So those would be my three.
Thank you for that. And I guess I would like to add, based on what you have shared, in my personal experience, I don't want to put the wrong message out there. There's been a lot of men mentors in my journey that are willing to share the information, and together I think that's what even makes us stronger. Sometimes the no is actually in your head, right? You're the one that gives yourself the no. And in the same comment you ladies shared about being a listener and learning from people, my idea is also be a good person to share the knowledge. We are known for wanting to keep what we learn, and from my experience, the more knowledge you share, the better it gets for you. My idea is help other people build their dreams, reach their dreams, and yours automatically get fulfilled. But thank you for that. So the next question is, this is going to be the one. And the audience will get to ask some questions here in a little bit, but let me see. So I've been told there's a sense of community in construction. Have you felt that? Would you like to share that? Maybe a mentor or someone, or the community sense.
I can take that one. As an advocacy organization, we're a membership organization, so we thrive off of community. We understand peer-to-peer networking. We can each learn from each other's mistakes. We can share best resources, best practices, contract opportunities, et cetera. And so I think building a community is of value to each of you. There are many of us out here that's advocating and pulling us all together. Most of us collaborate across organizations, but I think when you go home at night, your spouse or your children or your family, they may not understand what your day consisted of, right? But if you go to our member meeting next Thursday at the East Bank Club, where we're gonna have people come out and present, shameless plug, then that gives you the opportunity to talk to other peers that may be, outpriced on this project, or labor shortage, or material inflation cost, or they can absolutely relate to you. So I think having a community or a network of other peers to share these things with is uber important.
We are definitely a community, a construction community in Chicago, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I'll speak to that also. Community, when I heard the question, speaks to me about the construction industry in itself is a community. And one of the questions in the previous panel talked about a system, system. And what I'm learning in this industry, and I'm involved in my business probably in about 50 different civic associations, from chambers to construction and different things by industry. And what I'm learning from being involved in many of them that are construction related, they are community. And I say that because, of course, we talk about being women, we talk about being small business, we talk about being black, and we talk about all of these different things. But when the rubber really meets the road, it is the industry. It's the industry in construction that creates the community. Did I hear somebody say amen in the audience? I thought I heard a male voice said yes. Okay, so that makes my point. And so I encourage all of us to remember there is community among us, and depending upon who we see ourselves as, the niches and the riches is in your industry. And one of the things that we focus on in NABWIC, National Association for Black Women in Construction, is focusing on industries as community. Because when you think about all of us that sit here, if you are a painter and you have a painter community, 3 of us are painters. We're still talking about community, all right?
We paint red.
Okay.
Color red.
But think about this, though, talking about community, because I think it's very important that we understand what is community depending upon what side you sit on. And I'd like to suggest, as we have this conversation about construction and women in construction, and I just happen to be a black woman in construction who's very clear about the bottom line is the bottom line and it's green. So if all 3 of us were painters and you were a prime, and you introduced yourself to each of us, and you said, Ann, what do you do? I said, I'm a painter. You said, what do you paint? I said, I paint everything. And you asked, first name? May, what do you do? You say, I'm a painter. And you say, what do you paint? She said, well, I only paint churches and houses. And you ask, Sandy, what do you do? And she said, I'm a painter. And you said, what do you paint? And Sandy says, I only paint schools. Now, you're a school builder. And then she says, I only paint schools. I know the school superintendents. I know the inspectors. They know me. I go to the school associations. Which one of these painters would you choose? So my point in answering the question is, to me, that's community. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, green, yellow, or orange. If you are an expert in your craft and you know for sure what industry your craft fits, that's the community. And so, again, on behalf of NABWIC, National Association of Black Women in Construction, this is what we teach and promote in our members, the community at large in this business we call construction, but niche to be rich. Thank you.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more. At the end of the day, the industry it's a circle, right? And we need from each other, doesn't matter. And at some point, a prime was a sub, and we know the stories of the laborer that is now the CEO of his company. So it's a circle. We can learn a lot from each other. We need each other. And the big community is the industry, construction. And construction on its own, it's people that are very proud to belong in construction. I don't know, do y'all get that feeling? Like everybody's really proudful. You go on the job site too, and everybody's happy. I mean, yes, we have our moments, right? Tension, it runs high. But in the end of the day, I want to say that we have something in common. It's happy people. Okay, so the next one is, here we go. What makes you proud of your work? What makes you proud of your work?
What makes me proud is when I see it built and the public is using it. So what made me really proud, my first contract, my first professional services contract, I'm a civil engineer, was the US 41 South Lakeshore Drive extension. For years, that area was locked up behind a green fence, It previously was a different industry from a different era there. And when I saw people actively riding up and down South Lakeshore Drive from 93rd to 79th, I was like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, and you know, you feel a sense of pride. So when I drive past, I can tell my kids and my great nieces and nephews that are living here in the city that, you know, little auntie or mom built that, or I was part of the engineering for that. So it's driving, doing a drive-by of your own work. Because a lot went in, writing the proposals to networking with other engineering firms like Brenda to say, hey, I think we can get this project together. I think we can run really hard for it. And it makes you proud that you won it, you gained the confidence of that agency, you built it, and now people are using it. And that's a little interesting to see that when it's built.
That's a good reason to feel proud. Next.
What makes me proud of the work that I do is when I have a client that's just starting a new business, a minority woman-owned business, and I'm able to assist them through the certification process. I'm able to get them from A to B in a straight line, because the certification process is pretty daunting. And then assisting them to negotiate, going through public agency contracts, being able to assist them bid, get jobs, and see them become successful contractors. I do have several clients like that I started to work with when they started their business. One in particular, there was a residential landscaper, very small scale. Then he became a subcontractor, and now he's doing prime work all over the state of Illinois. And I'm really, really proud of him and his firm. I've got a couple of good stories I'm not going to talk about here, but that's what makes me feel very good and very proud to be part of that business, to know that I've been able to assist them to get to where they are. They're doing all the hands-on work, but I'm able to get them through the governmental process and just watch them grow from zero to almost graduation out of these programs.
For sure, and thank you for that. Thank you for supporting our community that way.
Yeah, similarly, as she was sharing that, I thought about, for me, it is shortening the learning curve for many of our members in our organization. And I'm just thinking, just this morning, we had a new member who is in a roofing business. And this just happened this morning, to shorten the learning curve. So we shared some best practices that I've learned in the last 45 years that can help her not have to go through some things that I went through. And I could not do that if I did not have a testimony. And so I think that part for me is, what is it that I can share to shorten that learning curve for someone that does not have to do the same thing? Thank you.
Anybody else? We're good? Okay. In my opinion, in our experience at the U.S. Council of Hispanics in Construction, we cater obviously to the Hispanic minority. And I can say I feel proud when I see the contractor bringing their son or their daughter to our mentorship programs, and seeing a 15-year-old learning how to do a takeoff or how to do an estimate. And to me, it's I might not get to see it, or I might or not. I mean, hopefully they'll be around, and I will be too, right? But my goal is, I don't only want them to be the next subcontractor that has the paperwork right and knows how much to charge for what they do, the value they have, but I would want them to be the next prime, the next general contractor. Why don't we have more Gonzalez and Perez and Martinez GCs, right? Or the next developer, and even opening, just now in my experience in the room at the exhibition hall, the guys that stop by and they say, wow, I was thinking so small. There's just so many more opportunities. It makes me proud to be able to share that. And not only getting the job, not only getting certified, you are at the end of the day impacting a life, and the one after that. And like it was very well said in the panel, you are shortening that I mean, how many, I've heard it many times myself. The reason why I founded this council is I would have wished there would have been someone like these ladies when I was in middle school, when I was in high school, that would guide me or tell me, hey, that deal that you have that you want to have your own business, we're going to help you. It's easy. Come here, fill out these forms and do 1, 2, 3, right? Technically, that's how easy it is nowadays if you really ask and go to the right places. It really is. And so I want to make sure that that's not happening anymore. It doesn't need to. There's enough resources, and there's a lot of people like these ladies in the panel that are ready to help. So we'll move on to the next question. I think we have a little bit more time. They haven't, yeah, we're good? Okay. So, let me see. Do you think there is more women needed in construction? How do we attract more females in the construction industry?
Yes, I think we need more women in construction. Just in the city of Chicago, there's a boatload of contract opportunities or projects or mega development going on. You've had for the last few years the Obama Presidential Center. You have the casino in the city of Chicago. You have the casino in the Southland community. You have Lincoln Yards. You have 78. You have One Central. You have the Chicago Department of Aviation. You have City of Chicago. All of these mega projects that are multi-million, multi-billion dollar projects. And quite frankly, not only is there a labor shortage, we need more women and minority contractors in the pipeline to be able to take advantage of these life-changing and generational wealth-changing opportunities. So yes, we need more women in the industry. And then what was the second follow-up question?
How do we attract more? How do we recruit them?
We have these conversations. At some point, I hope CPS brings the trades back into the schools. I think that for the last 10, 15, 20 years, we're missing a pipeline of interested kids that can grow into these paths, whether it's directly in the trades or just considering ownership. We as advocates or we as business owners have to keep the conversation on the forefront, encouraging different pathways to ownership. Some people only end up in ownership because their dad or their brothers or their husbands ended up in it, but if you're a project manager at a GC now, think about possibly buying another smaller firm or starting your own. If you're in the trades, good, work your way all the way to the top, and then think about going out and creating ownership and starting your own business. But there's just so many projects in the city, and they all have these diverse goals. City of Chicago goals is 26 and 6. 6% is women business enterprises, and so we need you all, we need to help you help them, right? So we need you all so that they can not only meet those diverse goals, but exceed them. So.
Okay, well, as for our organization, we sit really on 4 pillars. The first pillar, we want to encourage girls, elementary, junior high school, to come into the construction industry. The second pillar we sit on as a part of the National Association of Black Women in Construction are professional women who are in the private sector. So those would be the women who work in corporate, Fortune 100, 1,000, whatever it is, that control procurement and construction management inside the private sector. The third pillar are those women who are in the public sector that control any kind of procurement opportunities, and especially the Black Caucus, city, county, state, and congressional, because they control the politics. The fourth leg of our stool are the rest of us. Those of us who are in the union, whether it's in the trades, or we're in the professional services, or we're laborers, or whatever it is as entrepreneurs. Those are 4 pillars upon which we stand. So I share that to answer your question, because that is how we are advocating for that pipeline to be built to go to the point you're making, because with the silver sneakers, that's with retiring, and the browning of America, there is a major shortfall in the construction industry in terms of people coming into the industry. So these are some of the ways that we're strategizing to help bridge that gap.
We need to bring the trades back into the elementary schools, need to have sessions with the children to let them know how creative construction could be, how profitable it could be. you know, what a great life they could have as adults, but somehow it disappeared in the Chicagoland area about 25 years ago. And it really cut off the pipeline and cut off a lot of opportunities. And it's a tremendous void nowadays. We need to bring it back to all the school systems, whether it's public schools or private schools.
How do we bring it back?
Erasing the perception that trades or engineering is a male-dominated field. My background's engineering, and I think we grew up thinking, oh, engineering, you just do calculations all day. You know, it's the really nerdy kid that's going to do that kind of work. But working in it, it's a team. You work with other people in your company and other companies, because it's always, you know, multiple consultants working on a project, and it's fun. Once you get into a project, you're all working together to achieve, you know, one plan set, one design for a roadway and a bridge, and you know, you have some camaraderie. So it's not just sitting by yourself in front of a computer, but it is something that, it's not a male-dominated field, but it's something women should be participating in. You know, it's not something that they aren't aware of. And women tend to be problem solvers too. And I find I have women working with me now, and I find them a lot more reliable to do things. They take their personal responsibility in the work that they're doing. I have heard a statistic that from 20 years ago, the number of women going to college for engineering has not increased. It's stayed flat, which I find it really disappointing, because it's a good job, it pays well, and you're always going to need engineers. That profession is never going to leave our society. We're always going to be building bridges, roadways, buildings. We're always going to need engineers.
And I want to mention, because Brenda is my colleague, we're both civil engineers. I grew up on the low end. If anybody knows Chicago, what the low end is. So I'm from the low end, and they didn't discuss engineering. And in fact, the community I lived in was static. Housing projects didn't have a whole lot of road and highway construction work going through it. So I lived in an area where everything looked the same every single day for decades. So there was not a lot of investments in those areas. And so the conversation about civil engineering does not happen in those communities. It just doesn't happen. So fast forward decades later, I'm now a firm owner in civil engineering. So I found myself with my own crisis, my own staffing shortage. Brenda and I go through this right now. The only way I can get those future civil engineers, male and female, I had to get out from behind the desk and go shop my firm everywhere. HBCUs, local colleges, universities, partnering up with workforce so that they can actually see that there is women-owned firms that are looking to hire you. That was the only way that I could do it, and I had to show up. Similar to that first question you had about role modeling, that was one of the things I saw. If they don't see you, how can they be that if they don't see you to model themselves after? So one of the things I had to do, I had to get out from behind the desk, and I had to show up. So betting on yourself, showing up, and filling that void. And when you said the women are most reliable, oh my goodness, one of my best ones drove all the way down to Bradley University today to represent CKL at their university. I couldn't get the other 14 boys to do that. My girl drove down there and did that. And you know, we got proposals going on right now. Brenda knows that we're both struggling right now. In our mind, we're thinking, we have to get the bulletin out. But you know, my best girls are pulling it together while I'm sitting here. So I will say this, women are reliable, we get stuff done, we're clear-headed, we know how to, almost like sports, multitask, you know, they can do things, and they're quick with the computer. Oh my goodness. I used to be, yeah, let me not tell myself. But yeah, but I had to get out from behind the desk and just show up and just show others. And yeah, I miss it. When I went to Dunbar High School in the when I attended Dunbar High School, think about it, we had a vocational, because if anybody know Dunbar High School, they had a vocational piece of it, and I did woodworking. So it was great.
They don't have that anymore.
They don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I just want to encourage, we have 3 associations here,
the Hispanic, your women, and then ours for Black women in construction. And I just want to encourage all of you to consider aligning yourselves with some kind of association to help promote and encourage and uplift women and girls in this industry. That's how we do it.
That's right, yeah. It's the shorter way. We've already done the homework, right? Just tag along. In my experience, I want to say the way we motivate and encourage the next generation for construction is easy. We all like money, right? And entrepreneurship, building minority wealth, making them, when they talk about construction, yeah, you make money, right? The story I was sharing about I wouldn't go to college. I think that's huge for us, and we can show how much more money they would make as an entrepreneur in construction. That's really has helped us get there. And I always share this information in all of our orientations and workshops we have around the city. We visit different cities each month to get the word out there. And data shows with the census by 2044, the U.S. economy will depend heavily on minority enterprises. And so everything's there in line. You just have to, if you're gonna say you're gonna do it. And the resources are here. And a very quick way to do it is relating yourself, or even helping or volunteering or offering what you know to do best at one of these associations. Forget the pay. It's the education, the connections, and the network that is really worth it. And I can share that. I think that is the shortcut to getting more people involved. And to us, in my experience, is the money. The money, everybody's like, yeah, we want to make money. Okay, well, this is the way to do it. This is a quick way to do it, especially for minorities, right? We want to break that cycle of not having, my parents didn't even finish elementary school, right?
Yeah, I think that's one thing to add. Don't be afraid to ask for money.
Yeah.
We don't like to talk about money or feel that we're not doing good. Don't be afraid to ask your worth and ask for money.
That's right. And when you sell what you do and you're worth it, don't think like if it's money in your pocket. They have to pay with your worth. Even if you've never seen that much amount of money together in your pocket. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, so I think we are getting to the end of this, and I would like to, first of all, a round of applause to our panelists. And thank you very much for how each of you is contributing to our industry, not only in Chicago, but I think that, you can very well be impacting the next person that's going to be doing it in another city, in another state, and like we said, the future generation. You wanted to add something else?
Well, I thought you were going to ask for...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. No, she's the leader. Go on. You can take it. Go ahead. You want it? Yeah.
So just one quick announcement. After the Q&A session, we do have our final drawing for the Chicago Bulls tickets raffle. As I've said all day, it's much more exciting for me doing these drawings if the winner's in the room, so we can all hope together that that is the case. But for now, if you have a question, you can raise your hand. I'll come around with a microphone. Just please stand up and introduce yourself before your question, and we'll try to get through as many as we can. I want to give you this one back. Can I borrow one? Questions?
Hi, my name is Patricia Epps, and I'm an electrician, and I'm also a member of NABWIC, National Association of Black Women in Construction. And it's not so much a question, but when you asked how we can bring youth into the program, into the industry, I think about, I got started late, so I was 48, 49 when I started. When I was in high school, we thought of the trades as, a dirty, the field was dirty, it was either blue collar or white collar. And you think about the movie Claudine, where, the lead guy, I'm trying to blank on his name, or James Earl Jones, thank you, was a garbage man. And we didn't realize garbage men make a lot of money, and the blue collar industry makes a lot of money. And so I think, as someone said, letting them know that you can earn a lot. You can earn. You can, families have been brought up. Families have been raised. There's, you can have legacy, the nepotism. And I think about me. I was pre-med, and then I raised my son as a secretary, clerical. And so now this is my next journey. And I want to, tell people, this is so, I don't want to use the word lucrative, but it can be lucrative. I mean, it can change your life. It's life-changing. So I think putting that out there, I went to Corliss High School, and I went there I remember I had career day one time, and I'm on stage and I'm telling them about, I think I was talking about my photography. I can't remember which. It was either network marketing or photography. I can't really remember. And then there was this DJ who came from Corliss. They were interested in what he had to say because he's making money. They want to see the money. And so we really have to appeal to them and that, and on that level, because they're visual, they want tangible results.
That's right. Yeah, and stop thinking about construction like work. It could be very well business. That's something we really stress about. Next question. I think we have about 5 more minutes, so some questions. Oh, you will? Okay, good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, ladies. My name is Chriselle. I am the owner of Assuma Masonry and Restoration. I actually just got recently certified for WBE MBE through Chicago and state of Illinois.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I guess my biggest question, since you ladies have been in the field for a while, and I've only been in business for 2 years, what is your biggest piece of advice for a woman business owner such as myself, getting into this industry and trying to network to other companies to, hire me for my services?
Join one of the organizations, one of the trade organizations. Up here we have representation from 2. We have the Federation of Women Contractors and ASEA, the Hispanic Contractors. When I do workshops and talk to new firms and I'm doing technical assistance, I tell them the same thing. I don't care which organization you join, just join one. You will have networking opportunities. These 2 organizations, we advocate both locally in the state and nationally for these programs. We offer a lot of networking, a lot of opportunities to network with firms like yourself, and for larger firms, whether they're minority or women-owned firms, or the big white contractors in the Chicagoland area. You need to join an organization.
I have one more piece of advice about joining organizations. Meet with the executive director and tell them what you want from your membership. Don't just throw money on a website and say, I'm a member. Have that conversation with the leadership before so that they understand why you're a member, what you need from them, and have them help you make those high-level phone calls to network you in. And then, don't just pay it. Tell them what you want, because they'll take your money.
Okay.
They don't care about it, but you got to tell them what you want. No, we have experiences, but tell them what you need from them and get it that way. And don't be afraid to host your own open house and invite the industry to meet you and your team too.
Yeah, and I would also like to add, strong for us is a mentor. Somebody has done this before and they hit the wall, they lost a lot of money, and they can save you a lot. We're huge on mentorship. There's people out there, there's female general contractors. Maybe I would start there as well. And another beauty of women in construction, and you let me know if you ladies agree, women in construction, and it's gonna be a little debate here, I guess, but the good thing is we're almost over. Women overall are not very well known for helping each other. But women in construction, I have to say, is a whole different story. So look for another woman that is doing what you want to do, or even at another level, and make her your mentor.
I will also add, we would warmly receive you as a member of the National Association of Black Women in Construction also. In addition to that, I would also suggest you consider reading the book, Think and Grow Rich, to grow your personal growth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Another question from the audience.
Hi, everybody. My name is Josie Hood. I'm actually the founder and CEO of Hedge Enterprises, which is, I'm a developer, but I'm going to be short, but I'm going to tell you my story. So, since 2004, I've been a real estate broker. I've survived breast cancer 3 times. I've gotten my bachelor's, my master's. I've raised college graduates. I got people playing football. Everything has been about everybody except me. So, I enjoyed what I was doing. I was making a lot of money. I was making 6 figures as a broker, and then somebody talked me into doing a rehab, right? So I did a rehab. I made $99,000 on my very first rehab. I didn't want to sell houses. So then I decided, I'm selling houses, I'm rehabbing, and then I just decided one day, I want to build. So guess what? I'm building. And so now I am a developer, I am building, and not only am I building green homes. But now I want to talk about alignment so that it makes sense. I have to tell you how I met Miss Ann. I was hungry at Chicago Build, and somebody said, go to Miss Ann, she got some food. So I went looking for Miss Ann because she had food. So when I got there, everybody had red on, and I walked out the room. I said, this is a room full of doctors. I'm not supposed to be in here. And Miss Ann grabbed my hand when I tried to leave the room. She put her arm and she said, come on, and you introduced me to somebody. Make a long story short, I was so embraced when I went in the room, mistakenly, not by mistake, right? Because everything happens for a reason. To the National Association of Black Women in Construction. These women are my sisters. I have then brought more people in with me. This young lady was leaving today. I said, you cannot leave. Because life is about alignment. So what has happened as a result of my relationship and me meeting her, not only am I building green homes, I am in DC next week as a result of this organization with the Department of Energy, learning how to do more with green homes. So, when I was a little latchkey kid in Chicago, on the South Side, going to school for breakfast because we ain't had no food in the house, I never thought that my income and my impact would be what it is. So I'm charging myself, and I'm charging every last one of y'all to go back to your high schools, reach back out to your elementary schools. Just say, do you have a career day? Can I come talk to the kids? The principals don't always have to come to us. We owe that to all the little people that look like us. So now I'm starting an organization called Look Like Me, because I want other people that look like me to know that you can make money, you can be sexy, you can be in construction, and you really don't even have to get dirty. So I do agree with you. You do have to sell a lifestyle. You have to sell a lifestyle because they won't listen. So sometimes they say, well, you always travel. And I said, because I can afford to do so. And if you make the right choices, you can do it too. But what I always honestly say is I say, I'm not doing anything that you can't do. So, and I teach classes, and I tell people, just get on, spend 3 evenings with me, and let me talk about the possibilities, because people just don't know it's there. So anyway, that's all I have to say. But alignment is my word for 2023. I can't wait to hear all y'all stories about what happened when y'all went to y'all schools. And let's get some more women in construction.
Let's give her a round of applause, please. Thank you.